Welcome back to Movie Moshow. Today we are going to review the horror thriller film, The Cellar. If you like our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We post multiple times daily. Spoilers ahead. Ellie, an older child, and Stephen, a younger child, follow their parents Brian and Kira Woods into an ancient, opulent home. Ellie instantly expresses objection and wishes to return to her buddies right away. Ellie was disappointed to learn that the first night they were there, Kira and Brian had to leave her to watch Stephen while they went to the office for business. Ellie is asked to play the sonograph they discovered after Stephen discovers a hidden room filled with antiques. A man recites formulas at the start, followed by a slow counting up. Before 7, Ellie turns it off and instructs Stephen to go to bed. Ellie is watching TV when the power goes out while Stephen is sleeping. Ellie hurriedly calls her mother. Ellie is asked to count to 10, which is the number of stairs leading to the cellar where the circuit breaker is placed, by Kira. Kira sees that Ellie keeps counting in a dreamy fashion when she reaches the number 10. Ellie is reported missing, and Brian and Kira race home to look for her. The local police believe Ellie has gone away and will show up in a few days after they are unable to locate her the next day. This is because Ellie has a habit of running away. Kira conducts her own research after sensing a problem. She discovers enigmatic formulae scratched into the cellar floor as well as crimson-haunted faces painted with plant-based paint on the distant wall. Once the police have examined it, they discover that it dates from the 1950s and inquire as to the previous owner of the property. In response, Brian claims that they acquired it from an elderly woman at an auction for virtually nothing. Stephen wakes Kira up later that night while Brian and Kira are still asleep to inform her that he has wet the bed. She hears a girl counting up from the upstairs bathroom sink after assisting him and sending him back to bed. She descends to the cellar entrance as the counting proceeds. Before heading down the stairs in search of something, she opens the door and turns on the light. The following day, Kira queries Brian over the significance of the various symbols placed above each door in the home. When Kira enters the office, she asks her colleague Erica to find out what the symbols imply after taking images of them. She explains to the woman that the symbols are Hebrew glyphs that stand for the mythical Jewish sea creature Leviathan. At the house later, Kira plays the sonograph from earlier, and Stephen starts counting as he makes his way to the hidden room. He is jolted out of it by Kira. The cellar door opens as you are doing research on John Featherston, the guy whose portrait hangs in the mansion. When Kira responds to Stephen's cry for assistance from the cellar and attempts to help him through the locked door, she sees a huge eye through the keyhole and asks, "Who are you talking to?" To Stephen, who has been sleeping the entire time. The door opens a little bit, and the lights come back on. The lights are turned off as Kira enters the cellar, and the door closes. Kira drops her phone down the stairs and hears a growl slowly make its way up the stairs. She starts to feel scared until Brian appears and opens the door. Brian is informed by Kira that something is going on below the house. Her phone vanished, and everyone who used to live there, the Featherstons, except for their daughter fled. Brian thinks she is being overly dramatic and goes to hunt for her phone, only to find animal hair and a missing phone. Kira visits the National College of Mathematics the following day to meet with Dr. Remy Fournette. He quotes the words from the sonograph as she hands him the piece of paper with the equation written on it. Delta point vector sum epsilon partial I equals 1 n di by dx. She learns that Featherston worked with Erwin Schrödinger on a unity theory at the institution until his son was unwell, at which point he vanished entirely. He explains to her that the equation appears to be a representation of dimensions but is actually very complicated. Remy contacts Kira when she returns home with her new phone to see if she's okay after hearing someone count while he was calling. The equation, he continues, was developed by alchemists in the 12th century and resembled an incomplete incantation, according to a colleague of his. Additionally, he claims that a house in Belgium had markings similar to those in this case, and everyone had likewise vanished. Kira invites Brian into the cellar to show him the symbols after he becomes unhappy with her theories. Stephen moves in that direction toward the enigmatic hidden room. Kira is told by Brian that she is being insane and that he would not assist her. Stephen makes a failed attempt to remove the bottom step, and as the sonograph begins to count, a horrible version of Ellie with symbols carved into her face appears to him. She also counts in unison. After hearing him scream, Kira and Brian head upstairs where Brian discovers Ellie's phone. Kira visits Rose Featherston in the private care facility St. Antonis. Rose claims that her father was the one who introduced the evil being into our planet in order to save her ailing brother Jack. She informs Kira that the villain is Leviathan, one of the 7 princes of hell who has undergone various guises throughout history. She also informs her that the entire house is affected, not just the cellar. When Kira returns home, Brian shows her the study he's done, which reveals that the forms and symbols above the doors form a pentagon, which when paired with Leviathan implies Baphomet, a goat-human demon with black wings that the Knight Templar worshipped. The sonograph is playing as they chat, and Stephen follows his drone into the cellar. As Stephen reaches the bottom and the lights go out, Baphomet appears and grabs him. With the lights out and the breaker broken, they look for Stephen and discover him in the hidden chamber with a carving on his chest. He and Brian both start the countdown from 48, and when they get to 1, Kira flees from Baphomet. The chase continues down the cellar steps, which are now quite lengthy and have just one door at the bottom. After Baphomet leaves, Kira hides behind the door and proceeds down the passageway where she encounters what appears to be an infinite crowd of individuals who are all counting different numbers as they move forward in a lifeless dimension. After giving up on hope, she rescues Ellie and brings her home while fleeing Baphomet and screams at him to stop stealing her family. She meets up again with Stephen and Brian. Together once more, she leads her family to the front door and unlocks it to reveal that they never actually left the demon's dimension. Ellie, Stephen, and Brian start to count up before turning around and going into the cellar, and as the credits begin to roll, Kira also joins in. Thank you for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe.